Well, welcome everybody. I have a mystery guest. Well, sort of. His name is Richmond, and he is my neighbor. And I said to him, I met him, I moved to Rhinebeck, and I met him, luckily. And I said, "Where do you live?" He said, "Next door." So we made friends. You look very handsome, actually, in this Zoom thing.
Oh, thanks.
Yes, you do. You look very handsome. You look very young and beautiful.
You're so sweet.
No, you
That's
do. You do.
that's why I'm so happy you're my neighbor. You're full
Yeah.
of compliments.
Gets you everywhere.
That's right.
So I'm Betty Lee, and what did Chevy Chase used to say? I'm Chevy Chase, and you're not. So, Richmond, where are you? You're from Florida?
Yeah, I hail from the beautiful island nation of
Oh,
the Florida Keys.
oh, it is beautiful there.
Yeah,
Wow. Do you miss
yeah.
it?
I do. There's with every place, every hometown, there's things that you miss. Um, I miss the island life.
Yes.
I miss wearing flip-flops and a bathing suit
Right.
75% of the year.
Right.
Um, but Rhinebeck is filling that void for me. It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Rhinebeck is an interesting place. People that walk around here have nowhere to. I don't mean they have nowhere to go. They're not really going anywhere. They're strolling.
Yeah. And you know what I've noticed, well, being that we both live on the same street, we both have great views.
Right.
I've noticed, and people are not. I mean, we see the walkers, the dog walkers. You and I are both dog walkers. But then, yeah, I noticed throughout the day working from home, I noticed people that are just out just to enjoy the street. I mean, I saw people the other day that were walking around just looking at flowering plants, which
Oh.
it was an older couple and they were just out for kind of an evening stroll and they were stopping at every house, admiring the landscaping and picking flowers and things like
Oh,
that.
picking
But it
people's
is,
flowers.
you're
Yeah.
so right. There are a lot of people here that they're just meandering about, which is
I
kind
am
of great.
so happy that I am here. I went into the city, as I told you yesterday, to work,
Yeah.
and that was nice. And I got here, and I took my dog for a walk, and I thought, and I just saw people. Hi, hi. Everyone says hi. It's just
Yeah.
so. It's a wonderful place. It is a really wonderful place to live.
It is. And I tell you what, it's really, without getting onto the whole topic of Corona, but I tell you what, it's really been an interesting time here in Rhinebeck. Obviously, I have new neighbors, new people moving to town.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, you being from the city, the last, what were you, 15 years or so you were there?
I was in that building in that apartment for 12 years.
For 12 years, yeah. And so for you to, kind of escape up here and then, kind of put some roots down here in Rhinebeck, I mean, it's a special place and there's really a lot of magic here.
Yeah.
And it's attracting people from all over. But I mean, obviously right now, a lot of people in the city are looking to escape that are finding this area in the Hudson Valley to be that special. And it's special because of the people. I mean, obviously it's beautiful, but like you said, I mean, you walk up and down the street and you feel like an ass if you don't say hello.
I know.
It's like Pleasantville. It's everybody's so damn nice.
You must make eye contact. You cannot look the other way because you think, I don't want to talk to anybody. No, they're looking at you. They're waiting to make eye contact.
And I tell you what, it's really important. And obviously in the last few months, it's been really nice to live in this neighborhood. And know that. I mean, there was 2 or 3 months I was working, from home and I would see people walking by and, we'll get into it, but I adopted my dog. And it's so funny. I've lived in this house now for 7, 8 months. And I have met more people in this
Yeah.
neighborhood because of my
Right.
dog. And they're just so wonderful. And they're like, oh, when did you move here? And I'm like, I've been here since October.
Yeah, right.
But
Peeking out behind the curtains.
yeah, exactly. Like Mrs. Kravitz, the nosy neighbor.
So, and I sit on the porch, which is like, okay, folks, here she is.
I know you hold court is what you do. That's what we call it back home. And South in the Florida Keys and in the South, everybody has these magnificent porches that wrap around their homes. And,
Oh, so nice.
but it's, you hold court every afternoon. Everybody sits on their porch, which, is really fun for me to see when I walk in the afternoon. I see everybody, and some people have these little tiny porches, just enough room for one chair.
And they're sitting
there waiting. They're waiting for you to walk by and say hello.
Oh my, and I walk early in the morning. I guess maybe this might be boring. I don't think so. I get up in the morning and I walk my dog down to, well, you always make me laugh. I go past the liquor store, which is across the street from the elementary school.
Convenience.
Wines and spirits. And I go there and then we come back. And every morning I see this man. He looks Korean, and I don't know why I say that, but he's got his two kids, and they use the basketball. Now, this is every single day. He's every single day teaching the kids how to play basketball. It's very, very cool. So,
are they any good?
They are good, and they're so sweet. Hi, they're so nice. Can you tell us about Bowser?
Yeah, so Bowser is a dog I rescued. Believe it or not, he is from the mountains of North Carolina, and I'll give you the brief story for your listeners.
No, it's a great story.
A friend of mine from high school who I hadn't seen in 20 years. Obviously we're all so engaged on social media as of late.
Yes.
Have been posting this story about this dog that she was rescuing from an abandoned house, and it had this tragic story. And, I had been looking at the pictures and the videos she had been posting, and, I was just so moved. So she had done this happy post that she had found a beautiful home for the dog with a family and lots of farmland and whatnot. So, I reached out and just told her, like, hey, I'm really happy that, you've taken your downtime and turned it into something good, and you've rescued this dog, and we found a great family. And 5 minutes later, she messaged me back and she goes, yeah, happy I rescued the dog, but the family I had found for him, it's not going to work out. And I said, I'll be there.
No.
Yeah. We had planned to meet up in Rhode Island, and, with restrictions, travel restrictions and all this stuff, I ended up just driving down. She met me in Roanoke, Virginia. So I left Rhinebeck at 4.
You just got in the car and you drove.
I got in the car the next day at 4 a.m. And drove to Roanoke, Virginia.
Yeah. It's pretty there.
And that's the one thing I said, if I'm going to make this drive, at least it's going to be pretty.
Right.
So like 9.5 hours there.
No. At any point did you say, what the?
When I got to Amish country in Pennsylvania, I was like, I must be almost there. And
this is so far from New York.
It's so far. And I got there and I was so excited. And of course, I haven't seen my girlfriend in 20 years. So she's like, let's go have a drink and, get some lunch and catch up. And I thought it would be a nice time for the dog to warm up to me. And he did. And, I had a couple beers. I'm a big guy. So I figured I'd have 2 beers and, a burger or something and get back on the road. And
no, you were going to turn around?
2.5 hours later, I finished my 2 beers and my burger. And I'm like, oh my God, I've got to get on the road. I've got a 9.5, 10-hour drive home. So I did it one day. It was 22 hours.
Oh my God.
It was a 22-hour day. And I poured myself into this house and collapsed on the bed. And he was so tired from the car ride because he didn't rest in the car. He laid down.
He was restless.
He was restless. So we both slept till about noon the next day, which was great. Because I'm an
Oh,
early riser like you. I'm up really early. And my boss
like what time do you get up?
I'm up about 5:30.
Yeah, when the
I was a
sun
farmer
comes,
in a past life, I'm convinced.
me too. And when the sun, that's when the sun comes up,
Yeah. I'm no matter what. I mean,
kind of.
even if I have a wild night,
Yeah.
hanging out at, a local haunt or something, I'm still up early. My clock just goes off. It's time to, collect the eggs and milk the cows or,
God
I'd be a
knows you,
shoo-in to live on a farm.
you do so much of that. So let's just talk about Bowser
Yeah.
because you showed me a picture of him peeking around a corner under a RV or
Yeah, he was in like an abandoned trailer. And I guess the
oh,
guy that owned him, um, you know, had him basically as a guard dog. He's a
to
great
protect the
Pyrenees.
trailer.
He's a great
Is
Pyrenees.
he? He's so
Yeah.
beautiful.
And they're very vocal. The breed's known to be very vocal. And so this dog, that's how my girlfriend found this dog. She heard this incessant barking and had never seen anybody go up this dirt path. So after a couple of days of hearing this dog barking and barking and barking, she went up to investigate, thinking, maybe he's trapped or he's hurt. And sure enough, he was locked in this janky trailer. He was drinking water out of a gas can, and the floor was falling
Oh,
out, and he was all covered in dreadlocks, and he was a mess, an absolute mess. And so she ended up going to the police and the ASPCA, and
she's a wonderful person.
she is. And I mean, it was it was quite the feat. And it ended up, she finally got a hold of the property owner and the guy that supposedly owned the dog. And, she asked if the guy would give the dog up, and he said no. So
Oh,
she took to social media and, was pleading this story and ended up, figuring out, hey, this guy would probably take cash for this dog.
right.
So she raised about $1,400 and went to the guy with $1,000 cash and said, I'll give you $1,000 for the dog. And without batting an eye, the guy took the $1,000 and, she had some paperwork drawn up, so he couldn't renege on the
Right,
paperwork.
right.
And he signed it, and that was it. She took him right to the vet and got him checked out, and he's still a puppy, which is amazing. I mean, you've seen him in person. He's ginormous.
Was he in bad shape?
He was in real, I mean, health-wise, he checked out well, but physically, he looked awful. He was about 30 pounds underweight for his age. The vet said he's anywhere between 9 to 12 months. He's still got his adult teeth growing in.
Oh,
And yeah, so since I've had him about 5 weeks now. He's put on, I think, about 15 pounds. He's filled out a little bit, but he's eating.
you had
more.
to shave him all that hair off.
Yeah, the whole back end. My girlfriend did it, thank God, because I wouldn't have
Yeah,
had the patience.
yeah, that would have been.
Because he's so big, that's a lot of hair.
I have to say that she must be that's a story like out of a book, out of a
I
movie,
know.
that she
I've
would
told
stay
her,
with it. It wasn't
yeah,
even for her. It wasn't even a dog she wanted. She just had such a feeling for the next person. She's
yeah,
a wonderful person.
she is. She's a good girl, and it's so funny because I told her, I said, maybe this is your calling, and she goes, no, I've rescued one, I've got my fix. And sure enough, about 10 days later, there was another dog, and somebody called her and said, hey, we saw this dog. So she went and did the same thing, got this dog. It was a lot easier, I guess, it was kind of a stray or what have you.
Right.
But apparently in North Carolina, there's this huge, um, dog epidemic where people just kind of have dogs to have them and they roam about,
Right.
they
Right.
don't
Right.
really look after them, like you or I would. I mean, your dog, Rosie, my girlfriend, my God,
Oh my God.
she's spoiled, and that's it. I mean, there's certain types of people that have dogs to have dogs, and then there's people that have dogs like you and I. They're part of the family, and yeah, it's sad. I mean, I hear a lot. There's a lot of rescues in North Carolina that ship dogs out. I know a couple other people here in Rhinebeck who've adopted dogs from North Carolina.
I got Rosie from Puerto Rico. You didn't know she spoke Spanish.
Well, she's my little Rosita. I love
Little, I said, Jennifer Lopez, eat your heart out. Rosie is such a little dish. But there was a woman who, they're called Sato, Sato.
Okay.
And these people literally go with flashlights and look under trucks. And I mean, they look in Puerto Rico somewhere, there's something called Dead Dog Beach. And
Okay.
people just leave dogs there. And this woman she's just done an unbelievable job. And
Wow.
that's how I got Rosie. But, you know, something interesting is I went and picked her up at a private airport. And it was Mayor Bloomberg. He lets them use his plane.
Wow. Well, you know what?
I think it's his daughter, but it's called Bloomberg Cares.
Yeah, I was just going to say Georgina Bloomberg. I mean, that is her call to action. She is an animal.
Then that's what
animals. That's all between showing horses and rescuing animals. That's what she does.
Yeah.
Yeah, she actually, it's funny, I follow her on Instagram. She's got like a pig that she's rescued. I mean, she does anything that needs, you know, and it's beautiful to see somebody with that kind of, taking advantage of their blessings, you know.
Well, they had on T-shirts, it's interesting you say that said Bloomberg Cares. Not everybody, but, and then it was a private hangar and the plane came in and a stewardess, like you could tell they were, there were two people who were working with all those dog crates and everything. And it was really, really, and they do it, she does it back and forth for nothing. I want to say something. And I can't believe I'm even doing this because I want to talk about your work and who you are. But your friend did something for somebody else. Yeah. There was nothing in that for her, but she spent her time. I wouldn't even know where to begin to do that. I'd probably try to pay for it myself, or I would, but she reached out and did something for someone else and some other thing. And she really did it for you too. But, in this day and age, people are doing things, but for who? Right. You know what I'm saying? I mean, you read things on Twitter or whatever, and people say, well, this one said this and this. Who cares? Right. I'm so impressed. I think the goal is for us to reach out and help other people, I think.
Yeah. Well, and you know what? It's always, we're inundated as of late with all these calls to action. Everybody's got an agenda to help other people. But I'm old school. I'm from a little tiny island, and we were always raised. It's like being from a small town, like being from Rhinebeck. You take care of your own. And my dad always said, charity begins at home, and it doesn't necessarily mean in your house, which he would always have it. If you've got time to volunteer with the church, you've got time to go out and mow that lawn.
Then why don't you, right? Then why don't you?
But but the truth is, it's like, I'm more of a boots on the ground type of person. I like to see my sweat equity pay off first. And that's something, that's what she did, that was her call to action for, she went, she did, what she did was more valuable than writing a check to an animal rescue.
There's
not saying that you
shouldn't
support animal rescues, but this was how she was able to give tenfold. She saved the dog's life. She's, given me, this giant joy of fur. But you're right. It's, there was no end game for her. This was just, she was doing the right thing at the right time. And
taking time out of, we are all busy, you're not busy, you're just lazy, whatever. But she literally made that important. And I just think that that's just one of the great stories. Because I hear, like, especially now with politics, and you go online and people are yelling at each other, and who cares? Who gives a shit? You're mad at him and he said this and this thing, and who cares?
Yeah. I miss the old days of of like Facebook when they would post those pictures. Is this shoe pink or gray?
Right,
Remember?
right,
And that was
right,
the big debate. And that would be
right,
the thing for a week. Or
right,
you'd see a cute video of a panda falling out of a tree.
right,
And that would go viral and everybody would talk about it. It would
right,
make the news.
right.
Now, to get on social media, it's a disaster.
Yeah,
It's a
it is.
disaster. And, it's things like this. And I think that's probably why my girlfriend, I'll give her a shout out, Marielle. That's probably why she.
Yeah, we have to send this to her because I
will. I'm going to let her know.
Yeah.
She's gotten no praise for this.
Really?
Other than my thank you. And,
Yeah.
people right there, on social media. But, and I think that's what's driving people to do some of this great kindness and boots on the ground kind of action is we're so sick of the bullshit.
Just so sick of it.
Other than getting out and voting on November 3rd, my shameless plug, vote, vote, vote.
Yeah.
Other than that, right now, there's nothing. We're spinning our wheels to be listening and engaging on social media. There's nothing kind. There's nothing beneficial right now.
No.
Anywhere. Even, you turn on the television and it's like, oh, golly,
Yeah.
So I think maybe, and I'm speaking for her, but maybe this was her way of unplugging. And when you have to give yourself selflessly to a cause, all other distractions kind of exit, and in 2003, I was in college, I was involved with a pilot whale stranding that happened.
Oh my gosh.
Content Keys. About 25 pilot whales stranded, and I was young and in college, and
oh my God,
I wanted to be a vegan. That
right.
phase we all go through. So I ended up immersing myself as a volunteer. Then I ended up signing up through National Marine Fisheries, and I became an intern through my college. And I became so involved with the rescue and the rehabilitation of these whales. I ended up missing a semester of school. Okay. I had no income. I was living in a tent, but I was doing it to save the whales.
How wonderful.
And nothing around me, I was bothered by nothing, because I was so in tune to what these whales were doing. And, granted, this was before Facebook was really a thing. I mean, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I think I still had a flip phone. But, it's like when
right.
you've got something that you can put 100% of your time, almost like a newborn baby. When you have a project that requires that much attention, you unplug from everything else. And I think, that's what she did. This took up 10 days of her life, which was a great distraction. I mean, she was obviously on social media posting the story, trying to get this dog help, but she wasn't engaging in the he said, she said bullshit.
She could have just never gone up the road to see what was going on up there.
Yeah. But I'm glad she did, because now I have a roommate.
Did he sleep in the bed the first night?
No.
Oh.
It's just as of late, he doesn't sleep in the bed. I think, I've rescued many dogs in the past. They've always been from, good situations, people that couldn't care for them any longer.
Yeah.
Or what have you. But he came from a really shitty situation. So every day it's a learning curve. I'm learning every day what he likes, what he doesn't like. But the first 2 weeks, he wouldn't even get near the bed. I don't think he'd ever seen a bed.
He probably never saw a bed.
So it's just lately I have been encouraging him to get in the bed. And then I thought about it. I don't know that I need, I don't mind coming in my bed. But
right. Yeah.
I like a little more action than the.
This is not quite the.
Yeah. But so what I do now is in the mornings when I get up, because I like to slowly stir out of bed.
Yeah.
I'll encourage him to get in the bed, and we have a little
snuggle,
sit, chat, snuggle. I tell him what a good dog he is.
Oh.
Because I don't think he's never had the positive reinforcement, and that's something, with all animals, with people, they love to hear that. The tone of your voice with children, and he's like a child.
Yeah.
He's a sponge. He's learning very, very quickly.
He holds his head up now.
Yeah, and well, you saw him the first, I think my second day I had him.
Yeah.
Now when he walks, his head's high,
Yeah.
his tail's, up, and he's got that, massive, curly, crazy tail. He definitely, I mean, in 5 weeks, he's completely turned about. But he still has a long way to go. I mean, he still jumps at things.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to get him all the way into town because the trucks go by and he turns around.
Yeah.
He wants to turn around.
Right.
But, in time.
I wonder if he even was around traffic. He probably
He
just
wasn't.
lived
He
in the
was
middle
up
of
in the
nowhere.
woods. He was up in the
Oh
woods.
my God.
So
Imagine.
yeah. I mean, when I told people this story, I think I told you, like the second week I had him, I was cooking in the kitchen and I pulled out a piece of tin foil and he went crazy. He went out, he knocked out my screen on my guest room.
No.
Back door, scared him to death. So I don't know.
God only knows.
The tin foil. I mean, to me, here's this giant dog. You'd think he'd be afraid of nothing. And you say
Right.
boo, and the poor thing, runs out of the water. But he's getting better. Rosie scared him at first, but
Rosie scared him today. And then I want to get into other things. But today I have a very, very nice man that helps me around the house. And he put down an invisible fence.
Oh.
And he said, because I wouldn't want her to run in the street after the squirrels. So he said, well, take her outside and see how it is. And he had put the I don't know what it's called, but it on high.
Oh, she's
and
so little.
She literally levitated. Spun it. Well, she's so scared the whole day. I mean, she won't eat. If I walk by, it's not funny, but she's shaking. I mean, but she was shaking when I got her. So we just do the best we can. So the other day I was talking about covering up the boat at the end of my property.
Oh, yeah.
And in 5 seconds, you had the best idea for how to cover up that boat. So you're not, this is not your first rodeo in doing things like staging things. So can you tell us?
You know what? I'm a, what's the saying? Jack of all trades, master of none.
Yes.
I mastered some of them. And one of them is, I've got a good line of bullshit. I'm a master. I'm a master in that. But I'm a fixer. I fix things. And the last, 4 or 5 years, I've been working in production and working on, film sets.
So do you do property? Do you do scenic?
I do the production side of it. So I do logistics. I make sure people things are falling apart. I find a solution. I'm not a MacGyver, but I can find you one. And I've worked.
What does that mean? I'm not a MacGyver.
MacGyver, that TV show.
I never saw it.
Guy, I was probably like 6 when I was on. He could fix anything. He was like he could, I don't know, MacGyver. It's just
he wasn't Jewish. Yeah, MacGyver. He definitely was not a Jewish.
It wasn't a Jewish
person. No.
No, I don't think so. Yeah. He was. It's just the term MacGyver, like fix it all. I'm Mr. Fix It.
So are you are you creative? And I know everything what you're talking about sounds creative, but would you be a person who would create an environment, paint?
So before production, I had a retail store. And with my retail, I also did home staging. And before that, I was in events and entertainment, hospitality. So it all kind of, I've always found a way to, 1, work with people, 2, be creative, and 3, I love solving problems. I'm not the most intelligent.
Well, no.
But I love a simple puzzle. Or just finding solutions. I've always been a fixer.
Right.
When I was young, I was in Boy Scouts, and we always learned, strategy and trying to, how to keep bears from getting your food when you're camping. Just little things that. But yeah, so I do a little bit of everything. But most recently, the reason I'm actually up here is I'm working at Astor, which is a really great organization right here in town. So I do all of their special events. I work for the foundation there, the Children's
What
Foundation.
is it, like John Jacob Astor, like the family, the Astors, or
Yeah,
what is?
well, yeah. So Astor has been around the building here, the location here for almost 70 years.
Uh-huh.
It was, run by nuns, years and years and years ago. And we're a mental health organization for
Oh,
children and families. And so we actually have location here in Rhinebeck. We have um, children that reside there that, for one reason or another, don't have the ideal, place at the moment to receive care in the home or outpatient care. So they live with us, not with me. They live at the location.
yeah.
And it's a great organization. And I started with them a couple years back. A group of friends of mine that live up here are involved with a committee, Families for Astor, which is a bunch of really great moms who all work multiple jobs and have lots of kids and are busy, busy, busy. But this is their call. They do this. And so they, were like, hey, come up. We've got this great event. And they knew my event background. They're like, hey, can you help us out? Like, what's some ideas? And so I ended up sitting on a few phone calls with them. And so it was kind of a perfect fit. I love the organization's mission. They serve over 10,000 children and families from the Hudson Valley all the way down to the Bronx. And
Really?
it's incredible. And to be honest, I really didn't know much about the organization other than, they helped kids. And, I love kids. I've got nieces and nephews and adopted nieces and nephews,
Yeah.
up here. And, I love kids. So it was kind of like, I'm like, oh, great, I'll come up. And then once I got up here and started working there, I really got to know the intricacies of the organization. And it's really, and I'm not using this as a platform for my job, but it's really,
Well, no,
it's
why not?
incredible how much work goes into caring and providing services for these kids. We're in schools. We have, offices in a ton of school districts. We have 83 locations. Um,
What does that mean? 83 look.
So we
Wow.
have, for outpatient services, we have clinics, we have partial hospitalization
Oh,
programs, we have resource,
83.
yeah, and resource offices in schools and Head Start programs. It's incredible, and that's the thing. It's like I didn't know everything that Astor did, and I signed up. I was like, sure, I'll come up. I'll move from Florida
Yeah,
to
I'll move.
Hudson Valley,
You
but
sound like a nice person.
it started out as a 3 month like come up and check it out, and which was great. My boss was wonderful to extend that courtesy to me because I was like, I've never lived,
Yeah.
where I couldn't see the ocean or
Right.
smell the salt air. And they said,
Wow.
let's give it a
Right.
go and see. And then in February, they, made me an offer to stay, which
Oh, how
I was gonna push
nice.
them for it, whether they wanted me to stay or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, Astor's a really great place, and there's so many people that live here in Rhinebeck that don't even know what Astor is or does. So since COVID, we merged. I mean, we have nearly 1,000 employees for the organization, and we went in a matter of like 2 weeks, like 85 or 90% went immediately to working remotely. And
Wow.
thankfully, we're able to do telemedicine.
Do the kids, oh, right. Do the kids live there? Are there places where they can live?
Yeah, so we have at the location here in Rhinebeck, we have I think it's about 60 full-time residents. And
Oh
those kids
my.
come and go. Some kids come in for a few months. Again, it's like every situation is different.
Yeah.
Some kids come for a few months and then they go home. Um, we've had a few kids, over the years that have stayed for longer. Obviously our goal is to have no heads in beds,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
mental health is a huge, huge, huge issue. And, some of these kids that, it's, PTSD from situations at home. And there's just, you can dive into mental health. It's a huge issue, globally. And now, and it's now more than ever, these kids and the families. I mean, a lot of our work is with the families, and, you can have a child that's got mental health issues, but if you as a caregiver, as a family member, as a mom or a dad or a foster parent, we have an amazing foster program. If you don't have the tools to succeed, then the child won't either. That
Exactly.
makes sense,
Of course.
Everybody's like, oh, I'd love to adopt a kid. Well, are you prepared to, there's a certain, I don't want to say skill set, but there's certain tools that you need. Like me adopting Bowser, like I've been reading and reading and reading. I thought I've trained so many dogs and horses and kids and people over the years, but there's a different set of tools that you need to deal with. And that's one of the great things that Aster does is they really provide those tools to the people that are caring for these kids, and there's a lot of kids that just their parents need the help, and then after a couple months of some great therapy, whether it's inpatient, outpatient, whatever it is, these kids are able to return home and obviously our therapists, they follow up. And so it's a really great, they do wonderful things. And, we have resources for all sorts of.
Do you have to pay for it? Are there scholarships?
There's all sorts of different things. I know a lot of, kids, they get it through the school system, depending on, budgets, whether it's Medicare, Medicaid. I don't deal with any of that. So I know that there's
a limit.
There's resources available. And I know that we have clients on all spectra, on all financial levels, but we've never, it's like an emergency room. We would never turn anyone away. Once COVID started, we realized there's going to be a huge need for mental health services. And so we immediately got a 1-800 number and started pushing it so people knew there's somebody locally to reach out to. And I think that's important too. There's so many wonderful organizations globally. There's a new one I've seen, the last couple of weeks, NEMA or something that's great. But it's really nice to know that the help that you're receiving is local. And a lot of our services are in person and one-on-one and family care driven. So, that's Aster in a nutshell. It's a great place. And,
I see. I mean, it's like, just a little down the street across from the liquor. Yeah. It's on the right-hand side, right?
Yeah, it's right. It's right next to, I think it's the VFW or something.
Yeah. I've seen it and I didn't know anything about it. I said John Jacob Astor because there's a lot of houses up here, the Roosevelt, Vanderbilt. I mean, I wonder.
This is terrible. So if I'm wrong, you'll have to cut this out of the
All right. No, I don't have to. We can make mistakes.
But I'm pretty sure it is all that Astor.
Yeah.
All that.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if John Jacob Astor died in the Titanic.
Boy,
I don't know. But he was really something. And they have somebody has made this into just an incredible organization.
It's, it's incredible leadership and things change, the way that people have been dealing with mental health in the last 65 plus years.
Oh my God.
It's incredible. I mean, to think about it, let's look back to the 50s and the 60s. If a husband got tired of his wife, he'd have her committed. So that's in the 60s. I mean, what happened?
She's going up the hill.
Oh, she's going up. Yeah, she's going up the road for a little spell, Right. Meanwhile, he's, at the golf course with his new girlfriend.
And
it's changed. Mental health has changed. And every day we're learning. Every day. And we've got an incredible medical director and her team and psychologists and psychiatrists. I mean, the level of expertise that Aster has, and a lot of organizations, that you don't realize the work that goes into the decision making behind this. And we're a complete nonprofit, and we have a wonderful CEO now, Yvette, who she's been with the organization like 13 or 14 years. She's from the Bronx.
Wow.
Grew up down there. She's
right
of the people, and she's an incredible leader. And she just got appointed to the CEO position, I think back in January, right around when I was starting. And she's great. She's approachable, and she's got it's a huge organization. She's got a huge responsibility. But at the end of the day, everybody that's there is there for the kids in one way or another. Everybody has a different job, some people that work there never see the children. But those workers that are behind the scenes doing accounts payable, receivable, I mean, they're as important as the frontline worker,
Sure they are.
Everybody's got to contribute their part. So it's great. It's really a great place.
Talking about your friend with the dog, with Bowser and everything, working with an organization like that is really, I'm just so impressed that, you could be doing a lot of things and you choose to do that. I'm not saying that you might not do other things somewhere along the line, but you're helping these kids.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
It is. And, for me, it's like, I hate to be so like cliche, but, the children are our future. And,
absolutely.
Some of these kids, I mean, we have some, constituents that, were actually clients of Aster years ago that were
really
given the resources and the tools and the help. And now they've gone on to be incredible leaders, and they've moved away and they started families. And, and that to me speaks volumes about the work that is done, with Aster. I'm not saying that we're the best in the world, but
you're doing
we're doing great things over there. And everybody loves a success story. And that's our goal. Every day, our goal is we want to see these kids be a success story. And, not every kid is going to get that opportunity. Not every kid will be a success story.
Exactly.
So, but we don't know that. We know, but we don't know which kids, are going to excel. It's every day. Every day people show up to work everywhere working with these kids, wanting that kid to be the next success story and giving them the tools. And I'm there. And some days those kids were having rough days, and golly, with the COVID and
my gosh,
these kids not being able to leave the residence, and their world already is shifted and confined and structured. And then all of a sudden the COVID happens. These kids, kudos to the frontline workers and the childcare providers at this location. I can't imagine having 60 kids and coming. I mean, look at our friends that have. I mean, you've got 2 grandkids,
right?
And your daughter and son-in-law are like, trying to keep them busy.
Yeah, right.
Imagine, 60 kids, and and for most of this time it was rainy, snowy, bad weather. So it's a remarkable program, and there's so many great organizations in the Hudson Valley that, we drive by, we see signs for, and we don't really think anything about it.
Like what?
There's I think it's the Anderson Center for Autism.
I saw that.
I think that's in Staatsburg.
It looks very nice. It looks like very well endowed.
And they've been around for a long time. But that's the thing. There's a lot, and since we're on the topic of people finding something to do, like my friend with the rescuing the dog. There's so many great organizations in and around the Hudson Valley that if you're sick of the bullshit, get out there and do something.
Yes,
see how you can help and volunteer. And right now, obviously, with current situations and social distancing, there might not be a lot of in-person opportunities, but everybody's virtual and remote right now. So we're actually looking for volunteers, and we've got some that are helping us do some writing and people reading books. And I'm going to beat you up and get you to record yourself reading a book for our kids.
Oh, I'd love to.
It's so exciting for them. I mean, and kids are so used to the technology. For them, for us, we're getting used to it, but this is still weird. I can almost hear you from my
yeah.
But for the kids, this is what they know. They get it. These kids are not, anywhere from ages 5 to 14. They know FaceTime. This is all they've known.
That's just
so they get so excited when we have volunteers that are reading books or telling them a story or teaching them how to paint something virtually. They eat it up and they love it, and it lets them know, they're cared for and they're loved. Beyond what we give them at Astor. I mean, these kids, they love. I mean, who doesn't love praise? And they love it, and they feel connected to people other than when you see the same teachers and the same caregivers every day. It's nice to have a fresh face. So there's lots of opportunities here locally for people to get involved, and I'm sure there's some amazing animal rescues, and I know there's a farm over in, I think it's Kingston, animal rescue farm, and there's all sorts of great local places and it doesn't necessarily require money, sweat equity. Listen, I don't have a lot, but you know what I do have? I've got a strong back and a weak mind. So when it comes to volunteering, I always volunteer my time. If I was a Rockefeller, I probably wouldn't be doing your podcast.
Right. Or maybe
I would be. No, but you know what I'm saying? It's like there's a million ways you can give back. I mean, I know a friend of mine who's a volunteer firefighter. He was helping during the pandemic at the church doing a food pantry,
Oh, that's
what he was doing to fill that, like, what can I do during COVID? I mean, obviously, being, in services and being a paramedic and a firefighter or what have you, I mean, that's frontline worker. But that wasn't enough. He wanted to do more. And so I think that's, I'm no doctor, but like I said, I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. If I was to make a suggestion, it's like, just find something to do with your hands.
Right.
That's doing something good for somebody else. And it makes that glass of wine that much better at the end of the day when you can like chalk off your list. Like, I did my work and then I gave or I did. And sometimes doing is better than giving, money. I mean, listen, somebody wants to make a donation to my foundation for the kids, I'll give you an address, mail me a check. But if you can't, and we've got a lot of volunteers that they don't have the means, but I get more out of them sometimes in sweat equity.
Right.
And the kids get more, I don't know.
I used to work when I lived in Nashville, and I've never been able to find it here in New York City. But I worked as a volunteer in a women's prison years. I worked there for years. And I don't know how they even let me do it. I said, I'm going to teach meditation. And they said, oh, okay. And
good luck.
Good luck. And I was there for years.
Wow.
Yeah, I was there for years. And then there was a group called Thistle Farms, which we started making candles. I mean, someone found the recipe in a book. We started making candles. Right now, they just built a multi-million-dollar facility to make the things. And so, I mean, just the legacy of giving. Imagine from all those people who have made candles. These are women who were drug addicts, prostitutes, and they are given a second chance.
Yeah.
And they live in housing that these people rent. We rented houses. We rented out. There wasn't even someone in charge, and nobody ever violated anything. They were so grateful for it. So I never expected this conversation to turn here. It's my favorite thing, though. But it's my favorite thing.
Well, you know what? It's whenever you're helping other people. I don't know. I'm a people person. And
you are
giving to other people and seeing that started at a very young age for me. I was in my family. Maybe we didn't have a lot, but they were always doing for others. And that's a lesson that I learned as a child, and again, it's, I hate the saying, it's better to give than receive and yada, yada. But there's something, when you learn that lesson as a kid, you know, if you've got two, give one,
Exactly.
and it's a powerful thing. And I think even more so, even some of the darkest times of my life, I found myself giving and helping because, again, it takes you away from whatever's gotcha, whatever in your head, whatever on your computer, whatever on your TV screen. When you immerse yourself in doing for others or, rescuing an animal, it closes all that other peripheral BS off. And that in itself is healing. And that's what I'm saying. In some of my darkest days, I want to do for other people because it kind of covers up that, kind of makes you numb to, some of the things that might be eating at you.
And some of the things they come and go, and it's a bad day, and you're over dramatized, or you're feeling sorry for yourself. Or I went to Nepal, and it's like a long story, but the monk that I spent a lot of time with is just the most charming, wonderful man. And in Nepal, he has set up all kinds of little organizations, and he raises money. And his goal is to, because the kids don't get educated up in the Himalayas. I mean, they're just trying to survive. And sometimes the parent, they don't even have a way to get to school if there is a school. So he sets up a way where these people can start being educated, and it changes everything for them. They become teachers. They get jobs. They're not just standing around in front of the house with their brothers and sisters. And that it's altruism, I guess, is really what we're talking about. And you have that. And I mean, and maybe we can do this another time, but I wanted to talk about your creativity and all these amazing events that you've done. But I think this, and I hope everyone's listening, how do people get involved?
With
you can say, I don't know. Well, no, they've got to stand in line.
They got to get in line. Take a number. They can, you know what? We've got, our website is Astor, ASTOR services.org. They can go there. We've got a great volunteer page. They can, call the 1-800 number and ask about volunteering. Or they can reach out to me. They can reach out to you and get my info. I'm not putting my phone number on here unless you're a wealthy old man, almost dead.
We've got to see pictures.
And looking for a young husband who can spend money with the best of them. Then I'll give you my number. But no, and Astor, I just encourage any of your listeners, wherever they are, find something local. Again, charity begins at home.
Right.
And home for us and for you now, Betty, is Rhinebeck.
Yes,
this is our home. So, there's so many great causes globally, but why not take care of your own first, and if you don't have your own, then take care of somebody else's.
Well, you brought up a good point, and the point was that people can do things online.
Yeah.
So, I could read to them online, or, until we're allowed, we don't have to social distance.
Yeah.
But that would be so nice, is just, talk to them, read them a story, teach painting.
I know. And you're an artist. Clearly.
Yeah,
so
I could certainly.
We've got a great art show we're putting together. So we have a really great program at Astor here at the residence called the Expressive Arts Program. And we've got awesome kids that use their time in the art room. And it's a form of, it's therapy. And these kids go in and sometimes they're given prompts, ideas or thoughts, to work out with paints or with clay or with whatever medium they want to use. But we decided we do an art show every year. And this year, obviously with COVID, we're not having it in person. So we wanted to see, with these kids, like, what is COVID? What does that mean to you? How is that coming to you? How are you feeling that? How do you, how will you express that? And when I tell you, Betty, I'll show you some of the work sometime before we do the show. And the stuff that these kids have come up with, and, and we always say, from the mouth of babes comes truth, from the mouth of children.
Yeah, yeah.
These kids, the way that they see COVID, and now, mind you, their situation is drastically different than, kids living, at home with their parents in a pool in the backyard. And
yeah.
It's just, it takes your breath away because it makes you so grateful for the blessings that we have, and so I get choked up looking at this stuff, and I'm just like, wow. And so it's 2 parts. So they're doing, the first prompt was, paint for us or make for us what COVID is. Nothing. Nothing. We didn't say, are you sad? We gave them no other prompts. Like, what do you know about COVID?
Right.
How did it make you feel? Paint away. And again, some of the work is incredible. And so then the second part of it, because we're giving the kids, we're trying to give them the tools they need to succeed, and the families. So the second part is, what is life after COVID look like? What does your future look like? Show us.
Yeah.
Show us not your dreams. Show us what you see yourself achieving. Where will you be? And truthfully, it's night and day. The kids, the emotion that they put into the sadness and the darkness of COVID, and where they're at in their headspace and during the pandemic. And then you see the work that everybody does with these kids on canvas. And some of these kids can't express how they're feeling with their words. They get frustrated. And some of these kids are young, so they don't have the vocabulary or the wherewithal to say certain things. So they put paint to canvas, and how that feels. And my mom's a painter, and some days, you're in a great mood and it's bright and sunshiny, and you're painting daisies. And then other days you're throwing paint at a canvas because you just,
and it's getting worse and worse.
So I'd love to share more information with you about that, but we're going to do that virtually. And we're actually,
I'd love to help with that.
So I'm going to hit you up for some help with that.
I used to teach collage, and we did it with newspaper. So nobody had to paint anything or do.
Right.
But when you look at newsprint, if you turn it this way, it's this. If you turn it the other way, and you just kind of layer it, and there's ads, there's pictures, and I used to do that, and I used to love. I learned that at UCLA when I took a photography course. He said, first you have to understand black and white and shades and stuff like that. So this has been so great.
Yeah. And honestly, I think that I would love, once we can get back in person, I think the kids they love anything, and all kids love anything messy, right?
It's very messy. Me too.
And and I think they would love something like that.
Yeah.
And they can paint. Is that what it is? Like,
it's, so you take a newspaper and you cut it up, however you want to cut it, just cut it up.
Yeah.
And then get like a surface and start gluing it on.
Okay.
And glue on, this line goes this way, but it's really not newsprint anymore. It's kind of a horizontal thing. And then you go and you'll put this the other way, and then you'll put one big thing on one big picture, and then you'll put another thing that goes, vertically. And before you know it, you're looking at, and it's real, and they're looking at real work right away, and they don't have to do it.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's awesome.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Oh, I love doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, how fun.
So.
Oh, this was so fun.
This was great.
I tell you what, your listeners are lucky that you blocked it out for just the hour, because.
Oh, we could be here.
I was going to say, we would put them to sleep with the way that you and I carry on.
I know.
We need another podcast.
We do.
Betty and Richmond Front Porch Sessions.
We can do that.
And then we could just talk to the neighbors as they walk by.
And just hi. And
Hi,
they'll
how are
come
you?
up and talk.
And then talk about him. Remember that guy we saw when my friend was up, Heather, who loved you, by the way.
Yes, I thought she was great.
We saw the guy in the middle. Well, I don't want to say what time it was. I don't want your listeners to think we were up to no good. But he was all lit up like a transformer. Remember?
He was?
Remember, he was all... He had
yes.
Which is smart. If you're going to run at night, illuminate.
I understand.
But after a couple glasses of wine, I wasn't sure what I was seeing.
Did anyone else just see that?
That was what I was concerned with.
I listened to Mark Maron. You have to listen. To, oh my God.
You told me, yeah.
And he said the other day, I knew I was taking too many drugs. He said he has not had drugs in 21 years. And he said, I knew I had taken too many drugs where I was alone in my bedroom and Richard Nixon was sitting in the corner covered with ants. Oh. He said that was the last day that I ever took drugs. That he said, I kind of think he was sitting there.
Oh my God. Yeah, that would make me crazy.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for having me on. And I want to say, since I've gotten to know you as a neighbor and learning about your podcast, I love your podcast. The people that you interview. It's fun. It's so different. And I listen. I can't stand him. Real quick, I know we're running out of time.
No, we're not. There is no time. It's fine.
I can't. Back it's social media and all that, so I can't even watch the news on television anymore. So
no, it's too tough
with how I engage. So I listen. For the last 6 months, I've been listening to the news at night. I'm selective.
Who do you listen to?
I love BBC. Nightly.
Oh, okay. Oh, there's Bowser.
It's very calming, and they can take even the worst of situations and make it sound lovely.
Lovely.
So I can listen
worldwide
to
service. What does he say? And worldwide service of the BBC.
Yeah. It's so peaceful. But I love in your podcast. It's just
thank you.
A dynamic. Your range is incredible. I mean, you've done so much in your 40 years.
43, I'll admit.
Got such a dynamic lineup of guests, and I'm always excited to see who's coming next.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, but my favorite is our wine shop guy.
So
far has been my favorite. He was the secrets in this town. You got to get him back on and you got to start interviewing some more locals in Rhinebeck because I'm dying to know. I walk by these houses and I'm like, I bet you that house, if those walls could talk to me.
I've got to know. I walked into the liquor store and I buy.
Shocking.
Right. Yeah, right. And I bought, he said he had one kind of scotch. Well, that's kind of unique in a liquor store. Yeah. And he said he had one kind. That was it in the whole liquor store. I said, okay. And I bought it. And then I went in one day. He said, we're out of scotch. And I said, oh, okay, I'll come back. I went back a week. He said, I didn't get it in yet. And I'm thinking, oh, my God.
Well, listen, that's small town.
That's right.
What's important? And that's my other, I can't believe I didn't say this an hour ago. Shop local.
Absolutely.
Especially, I've being a small business owner, having been a small business owner, my family and small business, now more than ever.
Absolutely.
Locals need your support. And even if you're not a drinker, you got to know somebody that is. Go buy them a gift certificate.
Go buy them a gift certificate, something. No, I agree with you.
There's no excuse not to shop local. And you can get, and that's the other thing that's drawn me to the Hudson Valley. We have everything we need.
Absolutely.
To survive right here in this town.
We do.
Really do. And there's that great little indoor farmers market that just opened up by Bistro. It's right next door.
Oh, it's fantastic.
It's great because you know what? I miss, it's like Wednesday and I'm like, oh my God, I need eggs. And I love our grocery stores here are great. But again, if I can support a local farmer or a small business.
Absolutely. Coach Farm started it.
That's what it is, Coach Farm Store. I tell you what, though, Bowser, he gets a lot of great things. I cook for him. He's not getting Coach Farm Store organic chicken. I can tell you that.
No, that is not going to happen,
He's getting the
Bowser.
grocery store chicken, but
Oh, you
no. So that's it. Everybody's got to shop local wherever you are.
I agree.
Yeah.
And let's just hope that everybody reaches out and helps somebody else.
Yeah.
Just figure out everybody how could you, where could you, how could you reach out? Just like your
And you
friend.
know what? It can be something as small as meeting your neighbor.
Yep.
And you came into my life with my dog at the perfect time.
Oh my
I needed
God.
a neighbor. And
Someone said, "What is that? A lion?"
I know.
Remember that lady?
I know. And then the one lady that said, "That's the straight." She whispered it to her girlfriend. That's the strangest looking poodle. I'm like,
Oh no!
oh my God. Where are you from? The city? Get out of here.
Get out of here!
We're such locals.
I know. I
right
know.
into the mix.
And when I came home last night, I had been in the city all day. I thought this is just fine.
It's so
I'm
nice.
so happy. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you for having me.
So you coming for dinner at 7?
I'm coming for dinner. Yes, you know it.
Pesto.
You make the best pesto. Listen, if anybody needs some pesto, email Betty because she's got about 900 pounds of basil growing around her house.
The
and I'm convinced her kids.
Is this a weed? This is like, it's really growing.
It's the only dish you know how to make. I need to reach out to your.
No, I can do.
And find out.
I'll do something.
Come over. I'm making pesto.
To everybody.
Hey, as long as you have. Listen, we almost forgot to eat dinner that night. I came over with Heather.
That we did.
Having such a great time catching up and having some wine.
That was fun. I bought wine, so you.
We almost forgot about pesto.
We almost. And I said, "Is it good?"
At that point, it was wonderful.
I
hope I like your pesto tonight as much as I liked it the first time.
I think there's a little too much garlic.
You can never have too much garlic.
Okay.
All right. Well, listen.
You remember you said that. Well, thank you. I'm talking to Richmond, and you want to say anything else to anybody?
No? I think I'm good. Hi to my neighbors. Hi to Rhinebeck. Everybody in Rhinebeck.
And hi to Astor. Just say the name of this organization.
Oh, yeah, Astor Services.
Okay.
It's right here in Rhinebeck, so they can reach out.
I'll see you later.
All right, girl. I'll see you in an hour and 12 minutes.
Yes. Bye.
All right, thanks.